Hey guys, this is Drakkalan coming back with another Calibria Crystal Guardians video. I wanted to go ahead and say I was having issues the last couple of days with my Elgato HD60S. I've tried uninstalling and reinstalling the driver, so for now I'm having to use another program to simulate my phone. So with the count today, what I wanted to show was basically one team to rule them all, and in that essence it's going to be for all the tier 10 dungeons, right? So if we go down to the catacombs, you can see that I've beat tier 10, all the various elements of the dungeons. So with that being the case, we'll just let one of them run through. I need some more essence for farming. So I'm going to try to go over some different units you can use in place of this. This isn't a free-to-play team because I've been buying the ×2 growth rewards as I finish the growth packs. I'm on the verge of finishing one right now. Let me turn this volume down a little bit. Alright, hopefully that's a little bit quieter and not going to drown out me. Alright, so basically as you can see, I'm running Popo, Spider Queen, Selene, the Shaman, and the Necromancer. The Necromancer is there for his AoE attack break and his pseudo heal, right? Because he heals for 10% every time he moves. And he's also there for his cleanse, right? He's my only cleanser on this team. So he helps heal. He does the attack break, which keeps everybody alive during the waves and boss fight. We move to the Shaman. The Shaman is there to do his Voodoo Curse and help with attack break if the Necromancer misses his attack break. So it's a really safe team. They pretty much succeed every single run. I think every now and then I'll lose a Leviathan run with this team, but it's not fast, it's not efficient. This is not a speed team by any means. It is just what I had and what I threw together. We move on to Selene. She's obviously the backbone of the team. She heals everybody, keeps them up with her anti-crit and her heal over time. That's all she does, is heals and anti-crit buff. We move into Spider Queen. I think right now I've got her actually built for farming, so she's kind of missing the skills that she would normally be using. But I use her as a stripper, right? Her skill 2, I think it's skill 2, it might be skill 3. On the skill tree, you put that in instead of her AoE attacks, and she can strip the Leviathan, she can strip the Colossus, and they can do that while you're attacking the eye, and it kind of helps keep your team safe, right? That's also where the Necromancer's AoE attack break comes in. We move on to Popo, and everybody by now probably knows what Popo does. Dots, right? He just counterattacks and does tons and tons of dots. He can't be one shot. Just a very, very good unit. And when you put them all together, they can pretty much run any dungeon and any boss, even if it's not the fastest run. There have been plenty of occasions where it's just Selene and Popo. I've had one occasion where Selene actually was the only survivor on the boss run for the Leviathan, and she was able to kill him, but it took 20 minutes. So Selene can solo the Leviathan boss with her subpar gear. So real quick too, let's talk about gear. Right now all of my units are on agile sets except for Spider Queen. She's on the attack set that you get from the challenge quest, the first tier of the challenge quests for the farming or fast leveling. So nothing special. None of this gear is rolled amazingly well. It is all white 5-star gear except for that attack set. It is all agile sets. Most of the units are speed, HP, HP. Popo might be HP, HP, HP. And it's just nothing special. Like I said, it's all white runes. So I just wanted to demonstrate that you can clear every single dungeon in a reasonable amount of time with scenario runes. You don't have to farm Colossus forever at, from Colossus 5 to 10, like we've done in other Gacha games. So right now with the team pulled up, let's go to the skill menus, I guess. So Spider Queen, let me turn on the abilities I would use when running her, right? You got the Spray Cobweb, right? Chance to bind target for 1 turn and transfer all negative status effects to the target. So that's typically what I put on there. Bind is useful, it keeps the targets from moving. It's kind of like a stun, but a little bit different. And then I use this passive Hypnotic Net. As you can see, it erases a random enemy's buff. And the only enemy that gets buffed on the final stage of tier 10 dungeons are the bosses themselves. So she's going to attempt to do that every single time. So this is how I would run my Spider Queen. As you can see, I have no skill ups on her. I guess we have to go to storage. I'm trying to build the Lich King. I just rolled him earlier. Let's pull some guys out. Oop. Yeah, I got the Lich King today and I got the Druid today. So my teams are probably going to change up a little bit in the future as we try to run speed teams. So here's my Popo. Nothing fancy. Pretty low HP, pretty low defense considering how some people are running Popo now. He could definitely use more hit percentage and more speed. If we look at his runes real quick, I've got him on HP, defense, and not even, these are all white runes from Scenario. The only reason any of them are plus 15, right, because the stats aren't that great on them, is because I needed the plus 15 for the growth pack. We look at his skills. I've got him fully skilled. We're running Voodoo Staff for skill 1, obviously. 70% of attack and defense and damage, 35% chance to cause target to bleed for 1 turn. We move on to skill 2, Jade Zen. This is kind of one of the better skills that people like to run him with. Damage taken cannot exceed 15% of his own max HP. And this is why a lot of people build him with a primary stat of defense, because the higher HP it is, the more damage he's going to take. But at the same time, if you just increase his defense and they can't exceed 15% of his HP, it's great to have him on defense. But almost everybody's going to defense break him, so you want to make sure you at least put 1 slot of HP on him. We move into skill 3, which is his passive Hidden Rage. When attacking enemies, use the skill 1 time for each tier of rage, and it just kind of stacks up. So this is when you can see him do some pretty amazing things. And his leader skill is pretty useful, defense. Right now, most of the time, I'm running the Necromancer's leader skill, which is HP. So, but those are probably the 2 best PvE leader skills that I've got. And looking at the Necromancer, since we've got him pulled up, all right, we look at his info. Again, I'm running a mostly speed HP. That way his 10% heal over time is doing what it's supposed to. Look at skills. I have no skill ups in the Necromancer. We're running Withering Tangle, Death Nova, and the Immortal Aura. And these 2 skills, I think, are the only skills you really need to be running on your Necromancer. You want that AoE attack break. It's going to help keep your team alive. And you want this negative status effect removal. And this, basically helps keep him alive too. I would not put it, like I said, any skills into him. There are other units that are more important to skill up. He doesn't really need them. Just make him fast and tanky. If you can, put him on a Berserk set. That way you can take multiple turns. Makes up for that 70%. Eventually, I will skill him up all the way because I want the 70% to be 100. And once I got this passive Immortal Aura fully skilled, I will not put any more skill ups into him. Right, I'm not really worried about the attack break. He's going to trigger it often enough. It's not that big of a deal. And then I have Shaman to back him up. We look at his runes real quick. Again, like I said, white agile runes from Scenario. Yeah, some of them are still +9. So we've got him on speed, HP. Let's move on to Selene. Selene is somebody I've invested heavily into. White agile runes again. Most of them are +12 except for 1. She's speed, HP. We look at her skills. Skill 1, Moonlight. Does damage. It slows the target. It says 40% chance, but this triggers a lot. And she's fast enough that she's going to go enough turns before the boss that she gets 2 chances usually to slow him down. And that slow helps a lot just to kind of lap him. Not to mention her healing ability does self-haste, which is great. So Light of the Stars, shine upon the battlefield to restore 40% of an ally's HP and haste them for 2 turns. So a lot of times it'll end up on her, or it'll end up on the Necromancer, which is great. Both of them are healers. Both of them need to take as many turns as possible. Skill 3, Light of the Moon and Stars, just another big heal with heal over time. Other than that, doesn't really do a lot. That resist crit rate, it's nice, but don't really need it to survive. It's just an added bonus. Leader skill is resistance, which isn't bad. I just don't want it. I think the other HP and defense are better skills instead of trying to rely on the RNG of resisting. Moving on to Shaman, I haven't put any skill ups into him. Skills I'm running on him, Thunderstrike. This is just to basically help with the attack break, survive the wave, survive the boss. Ball Lightning. Each attack reduces enemy's energy by 20% and has a 50% chance to reduce enemy's defense for 2 turns. Right, so he's not a heavy defense breaker, but it does help speed up the wave clears. And stealing an enemy's energy, again, that's less turns for them, more turns for us. But this Voodoo Curse, this is the skill 3 you want to run on him if you're running Shaman. There's no point in running the other skills. Just turn this one on and let him go. This is what makes everybody have really fast dungeon boss runs. As you can see, it's got ignore defense. If exceeds target's HP while the curse is active, curse will explode and deal damage immediately. And that's when you start seeing these really quick run times. So I think you'll see Shaman popping up on everybody's speed teams in the future, along with Goblin Engineer. I'm sure you've seen Bagel and a few other streamers make really good videos talking about the best Nat 3s in the game. Goblin Engineer is probably going to be a huge unit that people build out in the future once they start doing speed teams for every dungeon. Spider Queen, we went over her. Lich King, I don't have him built yet. I've got the fodder ready, but I've got to finish leveling him up. And that's really all I wanted to talk about, guys, was one team to rule them all. It's I guess I need to talk about some alternatives too. So let's go back to the other screen. So if we go to the Catacombs, Magic, Battle. Alright, so here we are. As you can see, the HP leader skill. If you don't have a Necromancer, something else you could probably slot in that slot would be the Druid. A lot of people like him. He's a Nat 4. So most people have pulled him or will pull him before they can build a Necromancer. Selene. Alternatives for Selene would include the starting Cleric. She's probably one of the more popular ones. Or some people would slot the Druid into her slot if they don't have her, just to be that pseudo healer. He's also got some very useful other skills. Popo, you can use Medusa in his slot. Some people like Medusa better than Popo. For Nat 3 options, the Mummy is definitely going to be the number one person to slide in that slot. And talking about Selene and the Necromancer again, let's say you were using the Druid, then you could put Windwalker in the other slot, or Harpy. That's going to give you extra turns, extra healing. The Shaman, he's not necessary. You could just put another dot in there, so you could run like Popo with Mummy, or you could put maybe a Hydra in here. There's several different characters that, as Nat 3s, fill the role. And then the Spider Queen, she's just a debuffer. You could just run a Druid in that slot too if you happen to have the other 4. So a lot of these units are interchangeable. I don't know of any Nat 3s that strip. I was trying to run a Cupid. If we go back, I think my Cupid is just too weak because he's a L&D Nat 3. But he definitely seems to have some very nice skills if I can just get his stats high enough to stay alive. Because a lot of times what happens when I run Cupid is with these low stats, he'll just die during the run. I think I've got him built on attack though, so I could probably change that up. Speed, defense, HP. No, I've got him on what he should be. He's definitely an assist monster, as you can see right here. The skills I'm running him on, his skill 1, Sorrow Strike. Fires a heartbroken enemy to deal 400% of attack and damage, 75% chance to add a hatred mark to the target. The hatred mark increases damage taken by 25%. We go to skill 2, and you'll notice that there's a lot of repetition in his skills, where he's always trying to put a hatred mark on his enemies and a, what is it called, a love mark or something on his allies. So skill 2, Desperate Shackles, this is why I built him. Fire 2 arrows at an enemy. Each arrow deals 255% of attack and damage, 40% chance to dispel 1 buff from the target, and add a hatred mark to them for 2 turns. And again, that hatred mark, 25% damage taken. You can only have 1 hatred mark on the target at a time, but a 25% damage increase I feel like is going to be really good when we start doing speed runs, especially with that Goblin Engineer. We go to skill 3, God of Love. Use the power of love to attack all enemies. Deal 215% of attack and damage to all enemies. 80% chance to mark targets with hatred mark for 2 turns. 100% chance to mark allies with a love mark for 2 turns. Hatred mark again. Increased damage taken by 25%. But as I stated earlier, that has a chance to land on all targets. So we're talking faster wave clears whenever we enter a dungeon. And the love mark reduces damage taken by 25%. Right? And that doesn't say increased defense. It doesn't say increase HP, it reduces damage, so I'm assuming the raw damage number that comes across after defense is taken into effect gets another 25% taken off. You can definitely see where this is going to come in handy in the future. It's just a matter of getting his stats right. He definitely seems, even though he's an assist monster, you would want to build attack on him. So we're going to need some really good HP defense subs to keep him alive, or we're going to need HP defense main stats and some really good attack subs. And that's what I would probably prefer, are good crit rate, crit damage attack subs to increase those skills damage. But that's the generic movement of the account right now. As you can see, I'm working on the Goblin Engineer, which a lot of people are. Skills you want to use on him: beat, blast attack, battle armor. I've already got some skill ups in these guys, So when I feed these guys to him, those skill ups will transfer to him, and then he'll be maxed out or pretty close. I just didn't want to waste the other 3 net 3s. So other than that, we're just going to keep leveling up. I'll probably do another video pretty soon on climbing the spire. If there's any more information you guys want, if I need to be more in depth, just let me know. But the overall gist of this video was a simple single team that you could focus on. So if you're just starting the game and you roll a couple of these units, it's basically showing you what you can invest in right away and know that you're going to get good returns out of it. This team is also, like I said, the Spider Queen. She doubles as a farmer. She doubles as arena monster. Shaman, he says he's good for Guild War with his leader skill, but you would end up changing up some of his skills to make him better for Guild War. I think he's a better dungeon PvE monster than Guild War. Popo, again, he's good in arena. He's good for all PvE, and he's good for Guild War. Selene, good for all 3, arena, Guild War, and dungeons. You're not going to go wrong by investing into her. Necromancer is questionable. Definitely a PvE monster. I kind of like him in arena if I'm going up against certain people that I know are going to be launching a bunch of negative status effects at me. But if you get Selene, Popo, Spider Queen, those 3 are useful everywhere. So definitely invest in them, hang on to them, don't sell them off, don't reroll. If we look in my storage, the Archmage, a lot of people underestimated him at first, but now he's turning out to be one of the better monsters in the game because people have taken the time to build him. Druid, he's worth keeping. Succubus, she's good everywhere as well. Druid, like I said, he's got a bunch of useful skills for all the PvE and PvP content. Built Fortuna up. He's not really... Don't build him. I just had a bunch of them, so I wanted to not waste him. And hopefully in the future, in the next week or 2, as you can see, I didn't always have these nat 5, so I was starting to build up some alternatives. I will start investing heavily into the Vampire and the Demonic Swordsman, as well as Lumi and the Flame Spirit. I'm going to start getting pretty heavy into PvP, especially Guild War. I want to support my guild, make sure we're doing well. So if you guys have anything you want to see, just let me know. I'm trying to come up with more content to make videos for, so I'm not just copying what other people are doing. And I don't mind spending a little bit of money on the game just to show you guys what I can do and what I can't. And good luck to you on your summons.